Welcome to All Things Moore County, Moore County's weekly radio show highlighting the many facets of the Sandhills. That includes real estate, lifestyle, community and neighborhoods. And now from 4 Properties, here's your host, Bill Sahadi.
Good morning. Welcome to the talk show, All Things Moore County. Dorothy, for 10 years I've been saying that.
Yes, you have.
And every year when we come into December, don't we always have a show where we talk about Christmas and the giving season?
Yep.
And don't I always bring up, because you probably know everything I'm going to say by heart, don't I always say that, Moore County is a great place to live.
Yep.
But there is really an underbelly.
Yes, there is, unfortunately.
The haves and the have-nots. And we've had so many shows with so many of the nonprofits.
Yeah.
And every one of them has a really good reason to stand on 2 feet and to shout. But sometimes it's hard to get heard above the noise.
Yeah.
And then as I remember, no one ever taught fundraising in college.
They didn't teach it anywhere that I know of.
Yeah. And this Christmas, this is the season people are starting to think about what they can do for others, gift buying, but what they can do for others. And we had Mr. Dice on with Christmas for More back in July.
Yep.
And this is the time right now that all the people that signed up with Christmas for More are out meeting the people that they are helping with Christmas gifts for families who don't have. And Christmas, the older I get, the more I think about the people who don't have. When you're kids, it's all about you.
Yeah.
And your parents are just sort of like, the sun around you is a planet.
Yeah.
And it's all about what are you going to get and what can I get. But as you get older, it's all about the others.
Yes.
And so with that in mind, we're going to be speaking the entire hour today with Fallon Brewington. She is the Chief Executive Officer of the Boys and Girls Club of the Sandhills. And yes, there is a special event coming up next Friday. It's called Gifting Great Futures Day, and it's going to be, a phone-a-thon. It's on the 13th of December. And, you can say it's, dialing for donations and this and that. But Fallon has called upon a lot of people in the community who I think she considers catalysts, and they have their own network, and we're trying to get the word out about the good work that the Boys and Girls Club of the Sandhills does. So with that in mind, I think, Fallon, and I'll say good morning, and say the last time we had a show on the Boys and Girls Club, it was, I forget the event that it was, Carol and Eddie was our guest. How long have you been with the Boys and Girls Club?
So I've actually only been with the Boys and Girls Club for a year and 3 months.
Okay. I see posts on social media. Are you from Moore County? How'd you get here? How did this all evolve?
So I'm originally from Richmond County. That's where I was born and raised.
Okay.
I left Richmond County to attend high school at the School of Science and Math in Durham. Okay. So I lived up there. And then after that, I went to NC State for my undergrad. And so I lived in Raleigh for several years. After being there for a while, I moved back home to Richmond County.
Okay.
Stayed there, worked there. And then I got an opportunity to do a job with Communities and Schools of North Carolina in their state office. So I had to work in Raleigh.
Okay.
The commute from Rockingham to Raleigh wasn't going to work for me.
Doesn't work for me either. I'm tired thinking about it.
So we came up to Moore County and looked around, and Aberdeen is now my home. We've been here since December of 2014.
So tell me about the interview process that you went through.
For
Boys and Girls Club? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm sure they did a lot of vetting.
They did.
I'm sure they did.
They did.
And it wasn't your shyness that they were attracted to, right?
I'm not shy.
I can see that.
So they did a team approach to the interview, and it was a lot of heavy hitters from their board. At the time that I was hired, Dr. John Dempsey was the immediate past chair. for the club.
Right.
So he actually kind of led that search committee for the new CEO. So it contained him, it contained the treasurer, it contained Pat Corso, who was also the chair at the time,
Right.
and a couple other people. I know Anita Emery, she was the treasurer.
Wonderful lady.
And Mary Logan, who is now the current chair. They were all around the table and helping in that. Miss Mary wasn't there for my first interview, but I had to meet with her on a separate interview. So she was kind of like that follow-up interview. So it was kind of tough, being grilled around the table by, some big names in Moore County.
Right.
And then, Miss Mary, she's a little more stoic. So when I met with her for my second interview, I just wasn't sure if I had done well or not, but apparently I did, so I'm here.
Yeah. So you moved your family here, and you have 2 children, boy and girl?
Yep, Jaden is my youngest. He's
Okay.
7. And my daughter, Brianna, she's 15.
Okay.
They both attend Stars.
Okay.
Yep. And I am married. My husband, Chance, he used to be in the military. And after he left the military, he was employed by CSX in Hamlet.
All right.
He ended up being furloughed from CSX. So he now works for a place called ATI Specialty Metals in Monroe.
From the time you got out of school, has your background consistently been involved in working with nonprofits?
It always has been. I actually started working for State Employees Credit Union when I was still at NC State. And that was my first introduction to nonprofits. And I kind of started as an intern, and I kind of worked my way up. So when I graduated, I was offered a full-time position. Kind of started in their call center in Raleigh off of Hillsborough Street. I worked there for several years, worked my way up to team leader. And eventually, when we moved back to Richmond County, I was able to move into a VP position. So I was actually a VP for the branch in Pembroke for a while. And I left there to go back while I was going to graduate school. I went to ECU for my master's in vocational education. So while I was doing that, I kind of took a break, and I really wanted to get into education. So I started teaching, and I've been an adjunct with Richmond Community College since 2009.
Yeah.
So I've been doing that for a while too. So that kind of took me over to the education piece. When I finished my master's, I started working for Fayetteville State University with their Small Business Technology Development Center.
Okay.
It's a university, so it's not necessarily nonprofit, but it's definitely education. And I did that for several years before I got hired by Communities and Schools of Richmond County.
Right.
And I was the ED there for a couple of years before I got the promotion to the job in Raleigh.
Yeah. We've had many shows in the past 10 years, especially lately, where so many of our themes are about coaching and mentoring students of all types of, all different classes. We try to talk about kids in the arts, kids in athletics, because there's really no difference in what they learn. We've had communities and schools on over the years. And Dr. Moore had been a frequent guest on the show.
Right.
And we had gotten involved in the mentoring program at the Southern Pines Middle School. But there are so many different classes of people and classes of need in Moore County. And for those people who might not be familiar with the Boys and Girls Club and only know it from Denzel Washington's national ad campaign,
Right.
which, by the way, is very effective. Can you talk a little bit about the Boys and Girls Club, a little bit about its history, what it stands for, what it's doing, what it's hoping to do long-term, big picture?
Well, Boys and Girls Club as a whole has been around a very long time, and it was started as a way to get boys off the streets. And then eventually it has evolved to include girls. And that has kind of been the impetus for the program and for the organization since it started. Now, Boys and Girls Club here has been around for 20 years. So we celebrated our 20th year recently.
Right.
And it's the same thing. Our main goal is to help the kids that need us the most, ensure they have a safe place to go when school is out. So whether that's after school or whether that's in the summer, we want to make sure they have somewhere that's safe, somewhere that's fun, and somewhere to kind of invest in them and help them to have great futures.
As Dr. Moore used to say, it's sort of keeping an eye on them so they don't fall through the cracks.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And the kids, what are the requirements to be a member? The age requirements.
So currently we serve kids that are in kindergarten through 12th grade.
So 5 through like 17, 18 years old.
We have some that are still in school that are past 18 with disabilities. So we still serve them until they finish school.
Yeah, you're a nonprofit organization.
Absolutely.
So you rely almost solely on fundraising, grants, and such. You get involved in writing grants.
I do.
Yeah. So they didn't teach you that in college, did they?
They actually did not teach me that.
How'd you learn it?
You it's trial and error actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, you start small, get a few good wins in, and then you just go for more.
So right now, how many students do you have in your program? Because you have more than one office here in Moore County.
We have 3 locations in Moore County right now. Our main location is at Southern Ponds, our main unit, which is where the teen center is also housed, the Baxter Teen Center.
Right.
That's on 160 Memorial Park Court. We also operate our K through 2 site at Trinity AME Zion Church's Community Outreach Center.
Yes.
And
Paul's been a frequent guest on the show. Right?
he's also one of my board members. And our 3rd site is at Aberdeen Elementary School. So between the 3 sites, we currently have 578 kids enrolled. We plan to exceed what we did last year during the school year, which was about 600 kids. I'm pretty sure we will exceed that. In the summer, we also serve about the same amount as well. So we end up serving about 1,000 kids per year between school year and summer. And of the 578 that we have enrolled right now, we see about 499 of those a day.
You see 500 a day?
Yep.
After school?
Yep.
Okay. Keep them off the streets, right? And hopefully eventually get them through high school into either college, vocational training, keep them close to where they would become members of the tax rolls, citizens that are making Moore County a better place to live. Because what happens if they don't make it there? Trouble. They're not taxpayers.
Right.
I mean, I guess people don't think that far ahead, but that's the bottom line, right?
But we do, and that's been a big focus of us this year. We were really concerned with just getting them through high school, but we know that's not enough. And you want to get them through to where they're college or career ready, as you were referring to. But when we say career ready, we want to make sure that they're able to go into a position that's going to give them a livable wage.
Yeah.
Because it's not enough just to have a job anymore. You need to have a job where you can afford to live.
What do the kids need to do to qualify?
There is no qualification to attend the Boys and Girls Club. We don't turn anyone away. There is a small financial obligation to attend during the school year. Parents pay $40 per school year for their kids to attend every day from 2:30 to 6:30.
That is the best. First of all, that's the best babysitting service in the world.
Well, we're not a babysitter.
I know, but I was at Thanksgiving dinner with some friends of mine who they moved here to be closer to their grandchildren. And Sal is a gentleman, so he was describing his daughter and son-in-law going out on date night, and what it cost to go out and pay a babysitter. And by the end of the night, it's like the world. Oh my gosh, really? And babysitters are in such great demand.
Right.
But this isn't babysitting.
No.
But $40 a year. How do you quantify for me what the cost of having a student enrolled on a yearly basis is versus the $40, and tell me about the difference.
Yeah. So for the school year, it costs about $1,000 to serve that kid for a school year. But again, remember I said we also do summer.
Yeah.
So in the summer, we're typically open for 8 weeks. That'll change this upcoming summer because of the school schedule changing. It'll go down to 6 weeks. But either way, they are able to enroll for the whole summer for $140. And the cost to support a child the entire year plus summer is $1,200. So at max, they're paying $180 for the school year and summer when it costs us $1,200 to serve them. Now, mind you, we haven't even talked about the fact that during the school year, we serve them dinner. We serve them a hot meal every day. And during the summer, we provide them 3 meals a day.
Wow. I'm just thinking, you need to fundraise 12 months a year, all the time. You're always having to be out there. How do you make your voice heard above all the noise with so many nonprofits in Moore County? How do you personalize the experience that the kids have so that people who might be listening are going to be compelled to, send a check in, make a donation?
Well, one of the good things, again, we are supported by a national organization,
Yeah.
Boys and Girls Club of America.
Right.
So we have a lot of evidence-based programming. So all of our programs are centered around academic success, good character, leadership, citizenship, as well as healthy living. Okay. So those are our 3 core areas, and all of our programs fall under that. So those are things that everybody wants for all kids.
Right.
In order for them to be successful, they have to have those 3 things, and that's what we do at the club.
Right. What about kids that their parents or their parent can't come up with the $40?
Then we have other programs. We either scholarship them or we have them sponsored so that they can still attend. We don't turn anyone away. As long as we have capacity, we don't turn them away.
Wow. Let's come back in the second set. Want to talk about some of the programs. We want to talk about the event, which is going to be next Friday, December 13th. It's Gifting Great Futures Day. It's investing in really the kids behind us, the generations behind us, and that's what it's all about, paying it forward. We're speaking with Fallon Brewington. The Boys and Girls Club of the Sandhills is a great organization. It's one of the organizations that really does make Moore County a great place to live, and provides the kids with things to do beyond the school hours, and keep them on the straight and narrow. We'll be right back. Welcome back to our second set of All Things Moore County, speaking with Fallon Brewington of the Boys and Girls Club at the Sandhills. Christmas season is a great time to have her on. It's a great time to think about all the people that don't have what we have, and being able to provide meaningful gifts that go beyond just opening a package at Christmas, but making a gift that has a year-long impact. And the organization, as we talked about, requires a lot of participation. For only $40 per student for a school year, that's ridiculous. And it's ridiculous. I can't imagine. So essentially, it's about $1,100 and change per student per year to support a child through the program. So tell me about the event next Friday, the 13th of December. It's called Gifting Great Futures Day. What is happening, and where did the idea come from?
So the idea actually came from, we have a new director of development, Caitlin Terry. This was her brainchild. This was her idea. She thought it would be something new that we could try just to see how it goes. And I think it's turning out to be we're excited about it. Let's just put it like that. I think it's going to turn out great, and it's going to be something that we will continue to do every year. We decided to shy away from the Giving Tuesday because there's just so many organizations that's asking for money that day.
Right.
And so we wanted to kind of do something separate from that and pick our own day and let people kind of just focus on us for one day. So that's the inaugural Gifting Great Futures Day.
So when I think of a phone bank that's set up, and I think I go back to the Jerry Lewis telethons, and probably you don't remember. Maybe you do remember.
I do remember.
Okay. And they used to have celebrity people on the phone calling out into the public, raising funds for muscular dystrophy. And they televised it, and it was a show. And it was entertainment, and at the same time, there was a great benefit that was provided. You're not televising it, however, you have engaged, I think, a lot of people in the community that would fall under the headline, catalysts or networkers. Who are some of the people that will be manning the phones?
So with social media and how things have changed, our administrative assistant, Gina, which you talked to, she came up with the idea of, let's get someone in every hour to just kind of go Facebook Live and share what we're doing on their social media pages and their websites. So she's already lined up. At 9:00, we're going to kick off with the chamber.
Okay.
They have this new Shop Local marketing campaign that they're doing.
Yeah.
So this will be a part of that. They'll be there from 9 to 10. And then we'll have more choices come in from at 11. And
that would be Julia Brockmeyer.
That's correct.
Great lady.
And then we have the Sway that's going to help us wrap up the day at 12. And Click Suasion, I forgot about him, will be there at 10. So we're going to have someone on the hour every hour that day.
How long will the event go?
So it'll go from 9 to 1.
Okay.
And we'll wrap up the day. We have a special invite only lunch that will culminate today to just kind of love on some of our people that have given to us over the years and been huge supporters of us.
So bring me inside the control room. Will the callers have a list of people from the community that they'll be calling? How did you work all that out? I'd love to hear this.
Yeah. So we of course, have a database.
Okay.
And we pull the people that have given to us in recent years. And so they will have that information and they will be calling. What we did, the card that I gave you that kind of shows the event and what's happening, we actually sent this out in advance. And we said, hey, this is our day. We're going to be calling you. However, if you don't want to be called, you can go ahead and send us in something now and we won't call you.
I saw that. That's pretty good.
So we did that. And so whoever's still left from that list, that's what we'll break up. We'll split it up into the people that have volunteered. Some of them are our board members. Some of them will be some of our kids, as well as staff members that'll be making those phone calls that day.
Okay. So you're going to have to put my name on the list.
Okay.
And call me.
Okay.
My number is there. And I expect to call next Friday, the 13th.
We'll make sure we do that.
Are you sure? You won't forget?
I won't forget.
All right. Because if you don't, I'll have to chase you down. As far as publicity goes, social media is a great way to, you're right, things have changed, the way we market information. And you guys have a pretty prominent presence. Lots of posts. Who manages your social media? Do you do it in-house?
We do it in-house. Mostly now, Gina has taken over that responsibility.
All right.
Caitlin was promoted. She used to be the public marketing, everything public-facing. That's what she handled. And when she was promoted to Director of Development, we had to kind of pull some of those pieces back. So Gina's kind of stepped up and started doing that. I'll post some things occasionally, but for the most part, it's Gina. Yeah.
In addition to your staff, you also have a strong reliance on area volunteers, don't you?
Absolutely.
And what do you look for in volunteers? How does that all work?
I've heard someone joke before and say a beating heart as a volunteer.
Fog up a mirror and we'll put a suit on you and you're good.
But when you think about it, it's actually true because there's so many different pieces to running the club and making sure that it works that we can take anybody's talent and what they're passionate about and find something for them to help us with at the club. We have some people that say, you know what, I'd rather not work with the kids, but I would love to come and stuff envelopes or answer the phones or help with anything like that. But then we have those volunteers that come in loyally every day and mentor and tutor and help out in the kitchen. And some will just say, whatever you need me to do, that's what we'll do.
Right.
So it just varies.
You've lived in Moore County for how long now?
Since December 14.
Okay.
Yep.
So I've been fortunate. I've lived here since 1999, and I come from a big city, an urban area, and we always say it's amazing what a giving community Moore County is. It really is, and it's a small community, and you get to know a lot of people very quickly, and everything seems intimate. And what we have 5 or 6 generations of people living here under the same umbrella, and people want to pay it forward, don't they?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. Do you get out and do you speak and address different groups?
Absolutely, all the time, all the time.
Where do you go? Who do you talk to?
So I've been to Kiwanis
Yeah.
a couple times. I've been to a couple of Rotaries. I have an invitation to a women's group coming up. I've been to churches. Probably one of my favorites was when I went to Pinehurst United Methodist Church, and I was able to speak at all 3 services, and I thought that was kind of cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and this is, but it's a year-round thing. It's not just this time of the year, right?
Anytime.
If somebody wants to start the process of getting to know the Boys and Girls Club, do they start on your website? Do they come to your office? Do they pick up the phone and just start a phone conversation?
It depends. However they want to do it. I mean, we've had people reach out on social media.
Yeah.
We have people that email. We have people that call. We have people that just walk in the door. Whatever's easiest for you, that's what you do. You have to reach out, and you can go on our website and apply, and we'll contact you to do everything. So we of course run background checks on anyone that's going to be working with us on a regular basis.
Sure. What about some of your corporate sponsors? I'd love to recognize them.
So we have quite a few actually, and that is something that we have tried to grow this year, and we've been very successful. But some of our long-standing sponsors that we've had is First Bank, Jersey Mike's,
Yeah.
Sandhills Pediatrics, This End Up. One of our new ones this year is Southern Pines CrossFit. C Squared Advisors is a new business. You mentioned the Kirby Real Estate Group earlier.
Yeah, the conversation we were having.
Yep. So they're one of our sponsors this year as well. They're a new sponsor.
Wonderful.
Yep. Veterans Guardian.
Yep.
They're a new sponsor this year.
They were guests on our show.
Okay. And Everything Pines Partners.
Yep.
They are a huge supporter of our club.
Yep.
And we tell people that are interested in sponsoring, you can sponsor in any way that you want. And they're willing to think outside the box. And I say box, and that's funny because they just donated us a box truck.
They did what now?
They donated us a box truck.
Wow.
Yes, we needed a truck to be able to pick up our food and transport it between the sites.
Wonderful.
So they made a donation to help us get one.
That is terrific.
Reindeer Fun Run is coming up Saturday.
Yeah.
And Team Green.
Yeah.
They do that whole event. So they of course are one of our sponsors because that's one of our largest fundraising events that supports our club. ATEX and Pinehurst Surgical is another one of our corporate sponsors.
You have a pretty good, well-rounded following, and you are not restricted in fundraising by any larger entity.
No.
Which gives you a lot of latitude, right? So we like that as well. The clubs, you have different programs. There's something you have that I found really intriguing called the Power Hour, and I'd like you to talk a little bit about that because sometimes you can identify kids that are maybe lagging behind a little bit. So it's not like you're just providing a net. You are watching them. Can you tell me about the Power Hour?
So Power Hour is a national program that is implemented. And when they first come into the club every day, there is an hour that's available for them to work on homework and to receive homework assistance. Some kids don't have homework. And we understand that. So as long as they are doing something that's around academic enrichment, so it could just be reading, it could be, working with flashcards or anything like that, all of that falls under Power Hour. We have some volunteers that come in during that time frame, and they will work one-on-one with some of those kids that need extra help.
Sort of tutoring. So that goes beyond the net that the school provides, which is great. You just, as a kid, I went to school and I used to joke around. My goal was to hide out so the teacher never saw me. Always sit in the back of the class, hide my head, and I figured if I couldn't see her, she couldn't see me. And but then, they pick on you and go, oh my gosh. But I was motivated by hiding out, but you try to encourage people to participate. And the thing that I'd like you to talk a little bit about is one of the benefits of the Boys and Girls Club is a resulting self-esteem that the kids get. Can you address that?
Yeah. Boys and Girls Club is a place for kids to belong and to become. So that's where they can find themselves, find out who they are,
Yeah.
and receive support in whoever they are. You know, we try to make sure that every kid feels welcome, every kid feels like they're loved, that they're special, and that we are there to help them grow into whatever it is they want to be.
Yeah. Well said. We're going to come back in the third set. We're speaking with the Boys and Girls Club of the Sandhills CEO, Fallon Brewington. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about next Friday's event on Friday the 13th, Gifting Great Futures Day. They'll have the phones manned for 4 or 5 hours that day, hopefully reaching out to some people. And for those of you who might not be on their call list, they can call you. It's that time of the year. This is All Things Moore County. Welcome back to our final set of All Things Moore County. It's kind of like a Christmas show. I love the month of December. I love the fact that Moore County is such a giving community. And over the years, we've had occasion to have the Sandhills Boys and Girls Club come on and talk to us. Next Friday, the 13th of December, is Gifting Great Futures Day. It's going to be a 4-hour phone-a-thon. Basically, people will be calling you, people from the community who support the club, who will be asking for your support. And at Christmas, sometimes you can... We talked at the end of the second set about the kids and the self-esteem that they get from participating in the club. But for those who give, there's a self-esteem that they can get by giving and sharing, and maybe not directly knowing the individual that they're giving for, but knowing that one of the kids, ages 5 to 18, will get the benefit of the experience that the Boys and Girls Club provides, with the idea that they stay on the straight and narrow, they finish school, they get their homework done, they perhaps do some internships or jobs in the community. And, Fallon, in reading some of the testimonials from some of the past students, they talk lovingly about what the community has done, or what the Boys and Girls Club has done for them now that they're past 18 years of age.
Yeah.
It's something that you can, and people can go on the website and they can read these. I'm not going to go through it, but one of the things I just want to read the mission statement, if I may. Our mission is to inspire, enable, and educate young people from all backgrounds and circumstances to realize their full potential as productive, responsible, and caring citizens. It begs a question, a couple of questions. One is people who donate. Unlike you read in the paper sometime, these charities where so much of the money goes towards administrative costs, as opposed to... Can you talk a little bit about that? Because unfortunately, there are people who have who have always said, beware of this charity or beware of that charity. And this is really more than a charity, but can you talk about that? If somebody is going to support a child for $1,100 or $1,200, or if they give a $500 donation.
Again, you see it when we talk about how much it costs the parents. I mean, and you said it earlier when you were talking about the cost of childcare.
Oh my gosh.
There's no way possible some of these families could afford for a safe place for their kids to go after school or in the summer if we did not receive the donations and things that we receive.
Yeah.
It's just not possible.
Yeah.
To talk a little bit more about the kids that we serve, just so we have a clear picture of what we're saying.
Yeah.
Majority of kids that we serve qualify for free and reduced lunch. 63% qualify for free and reduced lunch. So, that is a indicator that they're economically disadvantaged kids.
Right.
And you spoke about this earlier when you talked about a little bit about the haves and have-nots.
Right.
It is forgotten here. I think people don't realize just how much some of these families are struggling to make ends meet. And if it wasn't for places like the Boys and Girls Club, they wouldn't be able to do it. Because how are they going to go to work if they can't? If childcare costs more than what they're making at work. In addition to that, 62% of the kids that we serve, they live in single-parent households.
Right. Not a surprise.
Mm-hmm. And, it takes a village. And so when their parents are working or working multiple jobs or just, can't do it all by themselves, that's where we kind of step in and say, we're here to help. Mm-hmm. We're here to help your kids. Mm-hmm. Well, our kids, as we like to say. And then 84% of the kids that we serve are minorities.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I remember growing up in Brooklyn, New York, and playing basketball at the local YMCA in a league with a bunch of other 5th graders, 6th graders, and having like a camp. Mm-hmm. And I remember to this day the coach. I remember the referee. I remember the discipline that we got. I remember some of the lessons we were taught. Mm-hmm. And that was, years ago. So the impressions that you all have on these kids are very strong, and it will stay with them for a long, long time. Mm-hmm. I think that's what Denzel Washington talks about. No guns, no drugs. The clean, walk the clean and narrow, mm-hmm. walk the right road, and get what you get. How many of the kids come from single-parent families?
So again, it's 62% of the kids that we serve come from single-parent families. Wow. So 6 out of 10 kids that we serve come from single-parent families.
And what's the breakdown of boys to girls?
So it flip-flops every year. I was looking at it for this year. We actually have about 52% males. And in some years, it'll kind of swing back and go towards female.
Mm-hmm. Wow, it originally was a boys' club.
Uh-huh.
They only thought boys could get in trouble. Not true anymore, right?
Right.
So it's almost 50-50?
Mm-hmm. It's almost 50-50.
That's great.
Yep.
That's also great for the kids to for their social networks, mm-hmm. I think. Mm-hmm. Well, I had no idea.
Yeah. And then about 30% of the kids that we serve are actually teens.
Are actually?
Teens.
Are they really?
Mm-hmm. 13, 18.
So that's also higher than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
I would think that the younger students would dominate that. So you have this event coming up, and this is probably your last event for Christmas, mm-hmm. right? But you have a bunch of stuff going on in 2020. You have plans. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about what people can be looking at?
So our next major event that will happen in 2020 will be in February. It's February 20th, 2020, actually.
Oh, okay.
That will be our Youth of the Year celebration.
Mm-hmm.
And for those that don't know what Youth of the Year is, that is a national recognition program by Boys and Girls Club of America. So youth are able to compete locally at their clubs. The winner at the local club is chosen. They can go on and compete statewide. Mm-hmm. The winner statewide then goes to compete regionally, and then finally that after regionally you go compete nationally. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about national recognition possibly. So we have our kids do that. Each of them have to give a speech, about a 3-minute speech. So that night of the banquet, they will give those speeches. Unlike me, they couldn't hide out if they have to give a speech. They can't hide out, no. But they volunteer to do this. They apply, they do their application, they have to write essays, and then they're judged by a panel of judges. So they would have already been judged prior to that night, but a winner is announced that night. And for the first time, we're turning that event into a fundraiser for us because we want the community to see what these kids do and what they're capable of, and again push the message of why we need support to be able to continue to do what we do. Yeah, I'm looking at I'm looking at your website and looking at some of the programs that you offer for these kids between the ages of 5 and 18. Mm-hmm. Academic success programs, the Power Hour, which we spoke about briefly, mm-hmm. Project Learn. Where the staff gets together with the kids and provides opportunities for them to read leisurely, writing leisurely, not
grilling them, but providing it as a fun exercise.
Right.
Because they're still learning. The arts, money matters. That's something else they didn't teach us.
Right.
That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
You should have cooking in there. Career launch, so kids are starting to think about how to interview, and actually a STEM program where there are opportunities in science, technology, engineering, and math, which is really what a lot of the schools are emphasizing, which are so the kids are prepared for the jobs that are being offered.
Right.
Some of these jobs, we don't know what they're going to be like in 10 years.
Right. But that goes back to the conversation I was having earlier about, it's not only making sure they graduate ready to either go to college or having a career, make sure they're able to go into a career where they're going to have a livable wage. I was looking for this because I wanted to give an idea of the investment that people make when they give to Boys and Girls Club. So there was a national study that was done a couple of years ago, and the national study came back and said, for every dollar that is invested into a Boys and Girls Club, $9.60 is returned in economic value to that
huge.
Community.
That's huge.
Because that goes back to what you were saying about they would then become taxpayers,
Right.
and all of that. You're keeping them out of jails and
Right.
public assistance and things. So for every dollar, $9.60 is returned.
That's a pretty impressive investment, and you're growing the community. And we draw so many people to Moore County because of the school system, because of the changing demographics, and the schools are getting overloaded with kids. So the Boys and Girls Club is going to get overloaded, but because of that, your requirement for fundraising actually increases. You can't take your foot off the pedal. So here's what I'd love to do sometime in 2020. I want you to call me. I want you to come back, and I want you to bring some of the kids.
That'd be great. Kids
love to do something like this. They get such a kick out of it. We had on the Whispering Pines Golf Club, the girls' golf club, with Charlene Hurst. She's a golf teacher. And these kids were from ages, 5 to 11. And for them to sit on a microphone and to talk, it's a hoot. They're a riot. They're so honest. They're so unlayered. But they walk out of here and they just feel great about themselves. And they're important.
Yeah, they feel heard, I'm sure.
And I would love for you to organize something like that. And maybe what we can do to really drive the point home is have it videotaped.
That'd be great.
So people can watch it.
That'd be great.
Yeah. So next Friday, let's just wrap, but next Friday, Gifting Great Futures Day from 9 to 1. I want to hear from you. I hope you're able to call a lot of people and raise a lot of money. Your work doesn't stop when Christmas ends. The emotion doesn't go away. You go right back to it January 1st, and you keep grinding. But the Boys and Girls Club of the Sandhills is one of the most important organizations in Moore County, and it provides a foundation for probably the largest portion of our population. These kids, they're just everywhere. And we welcome you to Moore County. Year and a half, you said you've been here?
No, I've been with Boys and Girls Club for a year and 3 months, but I've lived here going on 5 years.
Gotcha. Okay. Fallon Brewington, thanks for coming in. And if people want to get to your website, if you want to just give them the website address.
It's sandhillsbgc.org.
Okay. We wish you the very best of luck with your event. And I will expect to hear from you, and I want to see this table full of kids next year.
Sounds great.
Is it a deal?
That's a deal. Thank you.
Right. Everybody, have a great week, and start your Christmas off right, and listen to what they have to say. It's a great organization. This is All Things Moore County. Thank you.